work hard and be honest, but I will tell you, if people like you, you're better able to accomplish what you want to accomplish because you accomplish things through other people as a leader. And I know for myself, it's not about me. I'm passionate about the field that I'm in and helping other people. That's what you got to find is, what is it that you really enjoy and that you're passionate about? And if you can be paid to do that, that's fantastic.
Hey everyone, welcome to Girls Can, a series of podcasts created to help educate and inform young women throughout the world. Our goal is to empower and inspire the next generation, because the girls of today become the future leaders of tomorrow. Hey everyone, my name is Swain, and I'm excited to host the Girls Can podcast. Today, we have a very special guest in the studio. Susan Boudreau has served as the president of Mobile Infirmary since 2015, where she also served as the chief operating officer and vice president of oncology. She is a fellow of the American College of Healthcare Executives and serves on several community boards. Ms. Boudreau earned her bachelor's degree in science and medical technology from the University of Alabama and her master's degree in science and health administration from the University of Alabama in Birmingham. During her time at Mobile Infirmary, she implemented a successful hospital-wide total quality management initiative, enacted the usage of teleradiology, and assisted in the planning and design of a major expansion in the emergency department. She also led the development of Infirmary Healthcare's cancer program, including bringing on a new mobile cancer screening vehicle. She's also a wife and a mother of two. Welcome to the studio, Miss Susan Boudreau.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Okay, so we just read your bio of all the amazing things you've done, but what do you tell people when they ask what you do for a living?
Well, on paper, it says that I am responsible for leading a major tertiary care healthcare center, which is true. But in reality, I manage a lot of different personalities, which can be interesting and a challenge every day to try to keep everybody going in the same direction.
Dr. Herding.
Yes. I wasn't going to say that because your dad is a doctor, but the doctors can be a big challenge.
Should we include this? Okay.
And I can say that because my husband is a physician, and both of my boys, one of them is a physician and one is on his way to be a physician. So I'm part of the physician family, so I can cast aspersions.
You're good.
Yes.
I love the way you just described that. That sounds like very busy and very complicated.
It's very challenging, but it's fun.
Mm-hmm. Who inspires you and why?
Well, probably early on, it was just my mother by her example and how she lived her life. She was not a career woman. She didn't work most of her life. She was a homemaker, but she just inspired me. She was a hard worker, being a homemaker, which is a tough job. But later on, I would say my husband has been my biggest inspiration. He's always pushed me to do better and better and to make sure I furthered my education and took my certification and exams when they were time to be taken. And so just pushed me to be the best that I could be.
Where'd y'all meet?
We actually met at the hospital 34 years ago. We've been married 34 years.
That's so sweet. What advice would you give to women who are considering working in business or healthcare?
My advice would be to just find out what you're naturally passionate about. And generally, I think people understand that or learn that about themselves probably at a fairly young age. You understand early on kind of what you're interested in and what means something to you, and gravitate toward those things that you're passionate about, because that's the biggest beauty. If you can find what you think about, things that you want to change, things in life that you might want to impact and make a difference in, if you could work in those areas, that's going to be a win-win situation.
Mm-hmm. Everyone always talks about how business and healthcare are so difficult when you're trying to become one of those majors. What do you think was the hardest part of that job for you when you were aspiring and still working?
Well, I didn't really start out in healthcare administration. I started out in a clinical position. I have a BS degree from University of Alabama in medical technology. And my first job was working in a laboratory. And I enjoyed that, but I kind of got bored and moved up into management, and then realized that I enjoyed the management part of it. I could make a bigger impact as a manager than just working as a lab person. I worked in the blood bank, actually.
Oh, wow.
My first part of my career. And then it was really the first time I'd worked in a hospital, and I really liked it and enjoyed it, but just sort of took off from there and went back to graduate school after my job as a medical technologist and got my master's degree in health administration, and then really took off from there.
That sounds so nice. So you love your job, but what would you say is the most difficult thing about it today?
Oh, gosh. We're living now in a post-pandemic world, which is much different for all of us, no matter what field you're in, or even if you're just at home. We're all impacted by the changes that happened as a result of going through the pandemic. In the healthcare field, we are struggling very much to find people to work and take care of patients. And we have an obligation to our community to serve our patients. And it's hard to do that when you don't have enough people, enough nurses or respiratory therapists or physical therapists or surgery nurses. But no matter what specialty I'm talking about, we are struggling to find people. So now in 2023 and in 2022, that's been the hardest struggle, is to find adequate labor resources.
Why do you think it's so hard to find people once the pandemic started?
Well, a lot of people that were like 55 and older that were in the workforce decided, okay, this is a good time to retire. I don't think I want to be around people that can make me sick. And, in healthcare in the state of Alabama, we had more than 6,000 RNs retire during the pandemic. That's a massive amount of nurses that we normally had available to staff our hospitals. And now they're not there. And we don't have enough new nurses that are coming out to cover for all the older nurses that retired. Mm-hmm. So they're just big gaps.
Well, that being said, it sounds like it's a really good idea to look into a nursing degree right about now.
Absolutely. I would tell people, males and females, that if you are looking for where you could work anywhere, anytime, and really any kind of specialty, like labor and delivery or surgery or in a cath lab or at the bedside or an intensive care unit, and you genuinely care about people and you like helping people, nursing is a fantastic profession. You can get a BSN degree and start out as a nurse making a very nice salary. And if you want to, change paths later on, there are a lot of different options and you'll never be without a job. If you want to work, you can work part-time, you can work full-time, you can work 2 days a week, 3 days a week, you could work days, you could work nights, you could work weekend onlys. We offer so many options to nurses. And so there's just so much flexibility, especially for women. When you get to the point that you want to start a family, you're going to want some flexibility in your job. And so nursing is a fantastic option for young people.
That's funny because all medical professions seem to have a really good reputation, but it sounds like you're more serving others than benefiting yourself.
Yes, that's a great point, I think, that you're making, because it can't be about you. I mean, of course, to some degree, you're working for a paycheck, mm-hmm. and people want to get a paycheck. And it is work. It's not a volunteer job. But you really have to have that innate desire to help others. Mm-hmm. And I would say, working in healthcare my entire life, that's one thing that, is a common thread throughout the hospital, is people are passionate about helping others, especially others that really may not have as much as you have or have more opportunity to have someone help them. For example, we have patients in our hospital that are homeless or they don't have family, and our nurses and case managers and all kinds of folks through our organization come together and they'll buy them clothes and they celebrate their birthdays with them and they do all kinds of personal, special things for patients. Mm-hmm. And it's not part of their job.
That's so sweet.
They don't have to do that. That's just kind of who they are. That's their core. And that's what you got to find is, what is it that you really enjoy and that you're passionate about? And if you can be paid to do that, that's fantastic.
It sounds like you're really putting other people first, even sometimes above your own needs. Like when you're tired or you've had a long day, you're serving another person.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely.
What do you enjoy most about your job?
I've talked to different people in the organization and I tell them, I'm so far removed. I'm not a direct caregiver. I work in an office and I wear nice clothes every day. And I see our staff out there, getting their hands dirty and doing a lot of manual work. They're on their feet all the time. And, I feel like I'm not making the difference that I want to make. But somebody explained it to me like, you are making a difference because the decisions you make and how you lead an organization impacts so many more people than just one patient. Mm-hmm. And so I have to look at it that way, that, I'm responsible for the tone of our organization and how we go about our work every day and how, what staff we choose to work at our hospital. And when you have the right people on your team that are all thinking in the same direction and have that at the top of mind, you can make a difference. You make a big difference.
Do you think being a woman in the workforce has any bearing on how, you're affected?
I do. Mm-hmm. Of course, I'm a woman, and so I'm a little prejudiced, but, I'm also a mother. Mm-hmm. And women are many times caregivers in their family. Of course, obviously, fathers have a role too, but a relationship between a mother and their children is like no other relationship in the world. And that sort of just brings a different, I think, sort of perspective for women. Of course, not all women are mothers, and they're fine business people, but women can be compassionate and caring and empathetic. And I'm not meaning to disparage men because many men are that way too.
Mm-hmm. What are the biggest obstacles for female leaders today?
I think times have changed for women in the workplace, and it's changed pretty rapidly. You think about looking back at the old TV shows with the Leave It to Beaver, and I think her name was June Cleaver, and she stayed at home and she wore a little dress and she would never venture outside the home and work, just like my mother did. She didn't work outside the home. Her job was, cooking and taking care of the children and keeping the household going, that sort of thing. And so I think, the world viewed women like that for many years. And so it's taken some time to sort of transition out of that stereotypical image of women in the home. And I think things change in the world, and women joined the workplace probably after the war made a lot of people have to go to work, and women go to work. And then, it's just continued to emerge and evolve. I strongly believe that for me personally, no one owes me anything. My organization doesn't owe me anything. The world doesn't owe me anything. I feel like you have to work hard to earn what you get. Mm-hmm. And if you're a hard worker and your heart is in the right place and you try to make decisions based on doing the right thing, good things come to you. Mm-hmm. And I don't deserve to be in a particular position just because I'm a woman and that somebody needs to meet a quota. Mm-hmm. I view myself as, I'm just working hard. And if I get picked to do something and move up, which I have been, I've been very fortunate and honored to be in the position that I'm in, that I got that out of my own individual character, my own individual work ethic, et cetera. Mm-hmm. But I do think women have a challenge, particularly in leadership, that is different from men. And I've learned this because when women leaders are assertive or not aggressive, but just assertive and, firm about their directives and that sort of thing, they're judged pretty harshly. They can be labeled. Yeah. Negative labels.
That's seen from high school all the way up to when you're an adult. That just doesn't change.
It doesn't. But a man that's a leader can sort of get by with being, if he's a little aggressive or assertive, well, he's a man and that's kind of expected. Mm-hmm. But women can't act that way. So I think that's part of, I'm very driven and I have goals and I like to accomplish things. I'm always looking forward. I don't ever look backwards. But maybe I have that balance and I'm not too assertive. And you have to get people to like you as a woman. Mm-hmm. You have to use your influence. And maybe your charm sounds kind of sexist, but maybe you have to use that. And God gave women that.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Use what you've got, to influence other people in a positive way. But, you can't act like a man. Yeah. In a leadership position if you're a woman, because you'd be like, okay, she's not working out. She's going to have to go.
And there's always going to be someone that doesn't like you. I think it's Mark Twain. I remember when I was little, there was a whole fight and I quoted to my school counselor, Mark Twain, and I said, if everybody likes you, then you stand for nothing. There's always going to be someone that isn't in your favor.
Right. I can tell you there are plenty of people that don't like me at my organization, I'm sure. And you have to be impervious. Like, well, that's part of it. You can't make everyone happy and you can't please everyone. And it's not my job to really make people like me.
Just work hard and be honest.
Work hard and be honest. But I will tell you, if people like you, you're better able to accomplish what you want to accomplish because you accomplish things through other people as a leader. Mm-hmm. And if they don't want to do what you want them to do,
it's a problem.
You're not getting anywhere. And so it's helpful when they like you, but they're not all going to like you.
How do you get people to listen to you?
Well, power comes in different ways. Mm-hmm. There's position power. Like I have position power because I sit in a certain seat as president of a hospital. Mm-hmm. So just by having that position, I have power. And so people are going to listen to me just because whoever's sitting in that seat, they're going to listen to me. But then power is also earned. People respect you. Mm-hmm. And so they're going to listen to what you say. And then they believe in what you're saying to them and they feel inspired to follow you.
That makes sense.
So just
being confident.
Yes.
So along the way, what do you think has influenced you the most to be in the position where you are now?
That's a hard question.
Yeah, that was
a hard question. I think, honestly, I'm influenced by a lot of people because I've learned, and I've always been this way. I'm not a big talker. I'm really a person of few words.
The podcast says
it's a stretch for me to be chatting on and on and on. But when you listen to others, not just listen, but you hear what they're saying, you learn so much. And that inspires me from other people because I work with some fantastic people. I don't have all the answers. I have very few answers. I read a lot and study a lot. I listen to other people and other people in the field. And, you learn a lot by listening instead of talking and directing all the time and telling people what to do, which I don't like to do.
What books do you think all girls should read before they go to college?
I tell you, one book that I have read that I absolutely love, The First 90 Days by Michael Watkins. When you land your first job and you've got a little bit of power, you should read that book.
That's interesting. I'll be looking into that. What's it about?
It's about, when you enter an organization, what the things that you need to be cognizant of, what to be aware of, how to learn, how to take cues from things in your organization, warns you about missteps, get some early wins, right? Don't try to do too much at once. Don't make people mad right when you get there because that's a bad mistake because you won't last very long.
Yeah.
You just got to get your footing. And it's really a guide. I've read it several times and when I've, sort of moved up in my career and gotten at different levels, and it's always given me good advice.
How do you manage a busy career and a home life every single day?
Well, I'm at a different point. Obviously you go through different phases in your life. I started graduated from college when I was 21 and started working before I graduated from college.
Oh, wow. So did you graduate early?
Well, I was sort of young for my class.
Oh, okay.
I didn't have my first child until I was 33. And then the second one when I was 36.
How many kids do you have?
2 boys. So I worked up until then. I just, it's really not hard when you don't have children. But when you have children and you're a woman and you have a career, it's hard.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm going to straight up tell you, be prepared for that. Because it's hard because your first commitment is to your family.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a lot.
Always. Well, I couldn't do it.
Uh-oh.
So we had our second child. He was 8 months old. I retired.
Really?
I did.
For how long?
15 years.
Oh my gosh. And then you came back when?
I came back when our oldest son was a senior in high school.
Okay.
So that was, 15 years ago.
Wow.
Because I was like, that's what I do. I give 150% to whatever I'm in. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't do that with my family and to my job. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay, I'm all in for my family. And then, I decided, I had worked hard to get to where I was. I was a vice president at Mobile Infirmary at the time that I retired. Had a lot of responsibility, was very proud, enjoyed what I did. Mm-hmm. But I thought, well, you know what? chips will fall where they may, and this is what, God has led me to do, and I'm going to take care of my kids, and I never regret it. And if I can go back one day and work again, I will. And I did. And oh my gosh, how it turned out. I was very blessed.
Sounds like you're very productive and very organized.
I'm really not.
How do you figure out your priorities? That's just impressive. It sounds like you really have your organizing together. Sometimes I'm not the best at that. So if you have any advice, please let me know.
Well, you have to learn your strengths and weaknesses. And I'm really not organized, and I can be a procrastinator. But you just have to prioritize and know what you have to get done first. Knock those out. And then some things you can't worry about. I mean, for example, my emails.
Oh, no.
I mean, just so many emails. And I'm the type of person that kind of drives me crazy when things aren't done and taken care of. But I had to let it go, because if I can't get to an email, I figured if it was that important, I'll get it again.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
I have 50 on my school email, and I complain about that, but I'm sure it's 20 times more than that.
But see, you have to remember, this is the crazy thing about it. When I retired, our second child was born in 1997. There was no Facebook, computers. There was not Windows. I mean, at the hospital, we were operating on a mainframe. There was no texting. There were no cell phones. I mean, it was a different world.
Yeah.
And so when I came back to work, all that had progressed and was part of the working world when I came back to work in 2012. I had to learn all that.
Oh, no.
I mean, it was completely different when I came back. So I've, had to learn how to adapt to that. But I have a great team. I don't, pretend to say I do everything myself. I have a fantastic chief medical officer that is in charge of the doctors at the hospital. I've got a chief nursing officer who's in charge of all the nurses. I've got a chief operating officer who takes a lot of the, everyday mundane things off of me. So I have a lot of help.
Sounds like you'll have to work as a team. You'll have so much to do.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. Y'all are taking care of so many people. I bet that's a lot.
And you have to have a good core team that are all pulling in the same direction. We have a fantastic team. And you have to trust the people that you work with. Because trust is a big thing. If you can't trust people, you can't work with them. I can't.
That's true, because you're around them every day.
Yes, absolutely.
So you're so busy all the time, and sometimes you just need to de-stress. How do you relax when you're off from your job?
It's very important, and I've had to learn how to do this because my job really never stops. And I remember when I first got this position, and the magnitude, the weight of it seemed so overwhelming that, oh my gosh, I'm responsible for 500 inpatients in a hospital and for their health and well-being, in addition to 2,500 employees that work there. And,
that's a lot.
That
is a lot. That's overwhelming.
It is. It's like, how can I be responsible? But I've sort of gotten comfortable with it, and I have learned that I have to shut off. Because, the hospital never closes. It's open 24/7, 365 holidays. It never closes. It's never off.
Yeah.
Things are happening all the time. But I have to turn off my brain and think about other things, because I would obsess about it. And I would never shut my eyes at night. And I would, because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we need to do this and we need to do this. And what about this? And what if that happens? And we need to go there. And I need to get this person and that person needs to do that. It would just never stop. So I read. I try to read things that are not healthcare related, right? Just to get my mind off of something else. That's where I got into podcast.
Oh, what do you know?
I listen to podcasts virtually every night when I am going to bed because it changes the channel in my brain to another subject.
What type of podcast do you listen to?
I listen to religious podcasts.
Are you Christian?
Yes.
Me too.
Yes. And I really enjoy sort of the intellectual part of it, sort of the historical part of it. I have a few favorite podcasts that I listen to that are sort of about philosophy and theology and are intellectually challenging. I enjoy listening to that. And again, I try to control my inputs, right? That you try to keep upbeat, and you surround yourself with positive people and good friends, and of course your family. And then reading. exercise and spending time with my family probably is my relief time.
Mm-hmm. Talking about surrounding yourself with good people, as a person in high school who's going through just growing up in general, if you had to go back in time, what would you tell yourself when you were my age, 17?
When you're that age, it's hard to put your entire lifetime into perspective, and at least I did. You're thinking about what's right, what's next, right? You know, what am I going to do next? And you're, you know, it's driven and got to get my education, and then I got to get a job, and then I've got to do that.
College, ACT, sports,
right,
all of them.
Exactly. It's one thing after another. And I guess what I would say to my younger self is that don't take everything so seriously, and enjoy the simple things in life, which it took me a long time to really do that. Just the ordinary and everyday. Because when I was younger, it seemed kind of boring. Like, you know, my parents talk about the weather. I'll be like, who cares about the weather? That is like nothing you could do anything about that. I mean, just had no patience for ordinary things.
I know what you mean.
So just slow down, enjoy every day. We're not guaranteed the next day. And you can get a lot of pleasure out of just being calm and reflective and appreciate the small things around you.
Yeah. How do you stay calm when you're under stressful situations?
It's taken me a long time. It has taken me a long time to do that. Because you can have some incredibly stressful situations in healthcare. You know, like your dad's a physician. There's no way I could do that.
He works so hard all the time.
He has incredible amount of responsibility. And he's got people's lives and, you know, health in his hands. So that's an incredible responsibility.
He's one of the best men I've ever known. That's
awesome that you can say that.
He's one of the hardest workers.
He is fantastic. He's very talented. I don't know if you know that or not. He's a very talented surgeon.
He's going to love listening to this podcast.
He is.
He's going to be like, nice.
He is. But, you know, when other people around you are panicked, you know, or feeling out of control and that sort of thing, that's when I have to be calm. Because my team takes cues from me. And if I'm like, my eyes are big and I've got fear all over my face and I'm like, what are we going to do? I mean, what is everybody else going to think, right? They're going to think, oh my gosh, what are we going to do?
Yeah. Just staying calm, because I feel like if one person freaks out, then everybody else in the room freaks out too, especially if it's like really important.
Yes.
Someone's life is on the line.
Yes. And then it's just complete chaos. And over the years, you know, particularly when you have physicians or other people that you work with that, you know, or I say attacking, I'm not saying physically, but getting verbally, you know, escalated at you. You know, when I was younger, I would, you know,
yeah.
But wait a minute now, and, you know, and go toe to toe with them. And now I've sort of learned just not to get escalated anymore. Well, I try. I mean, I try to keep my sense about me and stay calm. But it takes just some experience and learning how to control that emotion in yourself.
What factor makes you so successful, like, as you've gone along the way? Like, what was the biggest game changer for you?
Honestly, I just work hard. I work hard. And I know for myself, it's not about me. I'm passionate about the field that I'm in and helping other people. And so I try to make decisions for the right reasons that aren't self-serving. You know, and I think if you can do that and not get caught up in that you're into the power or you're into the prestige, because I really don't care about any of that. I could care less. I think that success will come to you.
Yeah.
If you have that orientation, but
it's not easy.
No, it's not.
So we're reaching the end, and my last question that I ask everyone is, what is one question you wish I would ask you, and how would you answer?
That's a hard question.
It is.
It is a hard question, but I guess I would ask, if you had to do it all over again, what would you do differently? Is that a good question?
That's a really good question.
Do you want the answer?
Yes.
Again, I think what I would say if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't do anything differently. I've had a lot of obstacles and, you know, maybe missteps, not tons of missteps, but some missteps, not just with work, but, you know, in your life. But I wouldn't do anything any differently, because you learn from every step in your life, whether it's great or it's terrible. And you learn from it, particularly the terrible things that happen to you. You just learn how to adapt and get better from it.
Make the most out of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it kind of helps you evolve into being a better version of yourself. Because if you didn't have any challenges in life, that'd be kind of boring.
That would be kind of boring.
It would be kind of boring.
You wouldn't grow from it.
No. And so you have to accept what life presents you and the challenges that life presents you. And it's going to present a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not promised anything special, and we're not promised we're not going to have to suffer and all that kind of stuff. And I've been through, some major things in my life, just like everybody has.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't do anything differently. To me, life is my choice. What I do with it is no one puts a gun in my head and tells me I have to do anything. Yeah. I choose every day what I want to do and what I don't want to do. And generally, if I don't want to do something, I'm not doing it.
Mm-hmm. That's an admirable position to be in.
I'm just not going to. Yeah. I don't have to, and I'm not going to. And then, I think about people at work that are unhappy at work, and, they're constant complainers, and why did this happen to me? And why do I have to, I don't want to do this in my job. I was like, your choice.
Yeah. You're choosing to serve others.
You choose your path. It's up to you. I mean, we live in a country where you can pretty much do whatever you want to.
That's true.
You just put your mind to it, you figure it out, and you go for it. And, nobody's putting a gun to your head making you do anything. Now, that might happen.
I hope not. I really hope not.
Right. Hasn't happened to me yet.
That's good. Me neither. Let's hope it stays that way.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me. I've enjoyed it very much.
Thanks so much to everyone for listening.
This has been Girls Can, a podcast and an organization dedicated to improving the lives of young women in our community.
We want to encourage young women to make a difference through education and service.
Because the girls of today become the future leaders of tomorrow. Because girls of today become the future leaders of tomorrow.